is up, guys? How are we doing? Welcome back to another installment of the Jedi in Exile. Today we are coming at you with a full movie review of The Empire Strikes Back. This is just the latest in a series of videos we've been doing where we've been reacting to the original release trailers and then doing full reviews of all of the main saga movies. And if you've missed any of those, you can catch them on the YouTube channel. We've got a nice little playlist with all of them together. They're all worth a watch, so go give them a little view and help us out. And obviously, guys, as always, if you like the content we're putting out, please remember to like and subscribe. Other than that, Brian, let's just jump straight in, mate. Like, talk to me about episode 5.
Empire. So we know it came out 1980. It's really high up. It's really high up on people's list of their favourite Star Wars movies. We know this. It's an absolute classic. Why the face, Matthew?
You know why, mate? I don't rate this movie at all, but
that is not correct.
I think it's really high up on most people's
most, not all.
Sane people's. Yes. It's high up on their list. It's completely different to A New Hope. Like the storyline isn't really. There's no like lulls where A New Hope had. You could argue with A New Hope it had a bit too much of. The story needed a bit more at the start to get going, in my opinion. Whereas Empire, I mean, you're straight into the Hoth. There's just so much going on at all times. And obviously the culmination of, again, spoiler alert, that we find out Darth Vader is potentially Luke's dad. So this film, to me, had everything. It had better lightsaber duels, the technology was a bit better, the acting was better. It's my second favourite Star Wars film. So, yeah, that's me done. I think I think this film has got everything.
See, I think we come at this from two very different angles, you know. Because for me, some of the reasons that you love it are reasons that I dislike it. I definitely wouldn't say it's not the worst Star Wars movie. We did a little rating when we first started all of our
That's
content.
The Last Jedi.
We did ratings when we started all of this content, right? Like we did a whole like 2-hour episode around.
It's the big debate, isn't it, between Star Wars fans?
I feel like this is very much a Marmite movie. In that you say most people love it, that's fine, but I think the people that don't like it hate it, rather than going like, oh, it's all right, but you know.
So we've not really had this chat too much about Empire, so I'm going to let you have the floor. I'm going to make some funny facial expressions because I'm not going to agree with anything probably that you say,
Of course,
but I'm not going to talk. Your time is now, Matthew. Give me reasons why you don't like Empire.
I just think like, see, other than the massive so I like movies for lots of different reasons, and one of them is rewatchability. Like, with a lot of Star Wars movie, well, every single Star Wars movie, I've watched it more than once, right? I've watched it double digits, if not triple digits for some of them. So, for me, why would I go back and watch Empire? What is there for me to watch? Because once you get the big I am your father reveal out the way, there's not lots here to enjoy, mate. I don't really, I just don't find this movie exciting.
You're bored.
The Hoth battle is like meh. Like, don't get me wrong, the technology at the time it looks incredible, but there are better space battles in Star Wars, or like ship battles in Star Wars. So it's just a bit like, I find it a little bit lackluster, I'll be honest. Not super excited about it. Luke getting blindsided by a Wampa just seems a little bit like meh. That feels a bit like out of... The man's connected to the Force, and he doesn't know that a big snow creature's like snuck up on him. Yeah, nice one. Okay, fine.
Had any training?
Doesn't matter if he's not had any training. He's had a little bit of training with Obi-Wan, and he can...
It's not... The Force is like a spidey sense.
I thought that you could sense that with your Peter Tingle.
Well, it flows through every living creature. So how can he not sense that there's something near him?
It binds us and holds the galaxy together.
Exactly. I think it's cool that we get to see Han use a lightsaber, just like for lols. That was completely unnecessary, but is what it is. I feel like the whole Yoda thing, like we quote the Family Guy spin-offs quite a lot, right? On this channel, because we quite enjoy the Family Guy Star Wars spin-offs. Blue Harvest, It's a Trap, and something dark side. But in something dark side, like they take the mick where Yoda gives it the whole, I'm not Yoda. Okay, I'm Yoda.
Well, I'm not Yoda. Okay, I'm Yoda.
Like, having now seen that, I can't unsee it. It's so unnecessary for him to be like, I'm gonna pretend to not be Yoda. Oh, but now I'm Yoda. Like,
yeah, I think. So I'm just gonna come in at that point and say that's the one thing that I think maybe they didn't, and I think this comes from watching the prequels where Yoda is such a kind of serious character, and obviously he's such a big player in the Jedi Order that he comes across as a bit of a joke to begin with until he lifts the X-wing out of the swamp.
See, I don't even know if that redeems him enough for me in this movie, because like,
yeah, I can understand that because Empire Yoda is a lot different to Return of the Jedi Yoda. The 10 minutes that we see it, and obviously very different to prequel Yoda. So I can understand maybe being frustrated, but that only comes from watching the other Star Wars films and knowing what Yoda was like before.
No, and I do totally get that, and it would be great if we could go back in time and we could do this after us watching this for the first time. Like I'd love to go back and experience all of this for the first time. But we got to call it as we see it based on where we are now. I feel like kind of a lot of the story, the asteroid field thing is like, I don't really know what the point in that was. Was that just supposed to be like, oh, we're showing that Han's like this ridiculously good pilot and he's so much better than anybody else in the Imperial Navy? Is that what that was supposed to show?
Where do they go? There they are. They're listing lazily to the left. Go left, left. Boy, this guy knows some maneuvers.
Don't really know what the point of that was. And then all of the Cloud City stuff, other than the Luke Vader fight, I don't think really. And putting Han into Carbonite so that we then get him in Carbonite for Jedi, like to set up the start of Jedi. I'm a bit just kind of like, what does it achieve?
Don't you think that whole Cloud City thing is done cleverly though? Because throughout the whole of Empire, Vader and the Emperor obviously they have that chat where we see the first glimpse of the Emperor, and they're talking about turning Luke to the dark side. So then the second half of this film is all about how do they get Luke to turn. I feel like we obviously know that Luke doesn't turn in Return of the Jedi. For people going to the cinema to watch this again for the first time, they'll be thinking, "Oh my God, will Luke turn to the dark side?" Like if that's their ultimate goal, and it was a good way. The Cloud City stuff was showing the connection that Luke, Han, and Leia have. That Luke will do anything for his friends. Like he didn't finish his training; he's gone off.
But I feel like
save his friends. I think that works really well as a storyline for the main protagonist.
I understand that, but in that case, there's way too much time. If that is the tool that's being used for, there's way too much time spent following Han, Leia, Chewie, 3PO, and that in Cloud City. There's no need for it. Could probably cut.
I disagree because it sets.
All you need.
Sets the betrayal. That sets the betrayal of Lando up better. So because if they landed and within 5 minutes were eating a meal with Darth Vader, then you'd be like, oh, Lando's obviously, he's a bit of a bastard. Whereas you get to know a little bit more that him and Han have like a history. They go they're pals. Like Lando's taking him around the city, putting them up, 5-star hotel kind of vibes, and then he takes them to Vader and is like, "I'm sorry, they turned up just before you did. Like, I've got a city to run." So, I actually think they don't spend I think it's the right amount of time spent on each kind of subplot in the movie. Whereas I think in New Hope, there was, for me, one of the only criticisms I've got is maybe there was too much of the main characters on the Death Star. Like they could have made that a bit. There was a lot of time taken up just on the Death Star where not a lot seemed to be happening. But I love the introduction of Lando. He is so suave.
No, don't get me wrong. Lando is a character that I absolutely love, and I'm reading one of the Lando comics just now that's set before Han wins the Falcon back. It's about him and it's set before the Solo movie, about him like running about in the universe and causing chaos and doing all of that kind of stuff. I do love him as a character, and I'm really glad that he was introduced. That's one of the positives that I see in Empire. It's a cool character that we then have the opportunity to learn so much more about. But I don't know. For me, it just doesn't. It doesn't excite me. This and Attack of the Clones. Forget about the sequels. Let's park the sequels because I'm opening the door for sequel bashing for you yet again. I don't want to do that. This and Attack of the Clones are the two movies that if I'm like, oh, I'm going to put something on to just sit and chill for 2 hours, never put them on. The rewatchability, like what by rewatching this movie, what am I achieving? Nothing.
Well, I don't know. I think it sets up number 6 perfectly. I think that also you've got to think that there's a bit more. And this, I suppose, is where there's better acting. I think comes into it than A New Hope. Is that you can see there's something going on with Leia and Han. Obviously, they share a kiss. Leia and Luke share a kiss. Obviously, which now we know is like really creepy. It shows that they're big players in obviously the rebellion. We knew that Leia was anyway.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Han has now stayed. He's a general. Luke, I think, is a general as well. Doesn't it say that in the opening crawl?
I honestly, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I think it's cool that when he's upside down in the Wampa cave, that he then uses the Force. And pulls the lightsaber out. I think.
But I'm just.
And then the whole. And I think again we know obviously the prequels, but when Ben Kenobi appears and is like, "You must go to Dagobah, learn the ways of the Force from the Jedi Master who taught me." We're like, "Whoa, there's another Jedi," and I don't know. I don't think it's got the frills and spills of some of the other Star Wars movies, but I just think it's a really. I'm trying to think of the right word. I think it's really underrated as a Star Wars movie because I do think it's got everything. It's got the action, it's got a really good storyline, and it's a nice mixture of everything.
So I think my issue, and maybe it is genuinely just a really personal thing, and I guess whenever we do these reviews, we talk about how we feel, and how we see it, rather than, I'm not a movie expert. I'm not going to dissect the cinematography of it all and be like, oh, this was incredible, and look at the way that they framed this shot, because I don't have the expertise to do that. But for me personally, even the action doesn't feel exciting. So when we did this before, I said to you I thought Empire was really slow, right? And you're like, how can you say it's slow because it's got, this. Even those things that are supposed to be actiony don't feel actiony to me. I feel like the all the asteroid stuff, like the flight through the asteroids, which is supposed to be actiony, you actually spend a lot of the time in the cockpit with them all like talking and arguing and stuff, rather than actually and that might have been a technology thing. I totally understand that, but
yeah, I think that's a bit of technology, but I also like that that's the cockpit, and it's really good, whether it's writing or and again, I don't want to delve into this. I'm not a movie expert, but it's really like quick one-liners, and it shows that I think shows the banter between Leia and Han, like that kind of love-hate relationship. So. No, I really like. We see a bit more of. There's a lot more character development. You can tell that these characters are a bit older and more mature. So yeah, I love the film. I think it's great.
One thing that I am going to say that I do find quite strange. So again, they take the Mickey, right? Don't they? That in the Family Guy thing, that Lando at the end is wearing Han's clothes when they
Yeah, and when I first saw that Family Guy, I was like, this just cannot be true.
And it is like it's accurate. But the thing that then makes that weirder is I've gone away and I've really gotten into the comics recently. I know I keep banging on about it.
Stop it. Get some help.
But there's a comic at the moment that kind of explains that there's masses of time between them going to Cloud City and then that scene, because when and then between Lando and Chewie going off and then the start of Jedi, and it's just really weird for me. Like I feel like, for me, it's too slow a pace in a movie, and like I said, I don't even really get excited about the action sequences. I quite like the Luke Vader fight at the end, and to see the step on from A New Hope.
I think this film's got a lot of iconic Star Wars lines. It's got a lot of iconic Star Wars, just everything. I mean, Imperial March is born in The Empire Strikes Back. So again, shout out to John Williams. We shout him out on every review for like the music that he's done.
Big up my man.
Soundtrack. Thank you, JW. You've got obviously the I Am Your Father. You've got what's I gonna say?
Never Tell Me the Odds.
The whole Never Tell Me the Odds.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, there's just so much that you can pull from Empire.
Which is fine, but I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to be really brutal now. You said there were some cool things. There are. Introducing Lando.
Oh, the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters.
Yeah, right. So that bounty hunter meeting obviously introduced like Zuckus, for Lom, for LOM, however you want to pronounce, IG-88, Dengar, like all of them. Like that introduced all of these characters. Really cool. And when you talk about the EU Legends books and everything, so many about them, and it like gave rise to all of these spin-offs and all of this great content. Fine, understand that, but there's tons of cool stuff in there. We find out about a second Jedi, so we get to meet Yoda. Lando's introduced. We actually get to see like we see Boba and Boba's ship, and Han getting frozen in carbonite. We find out Leia's true feelings towards Han. Like, fine, there's cool stuff. And then you've said it's really quotable. It is, the whole "I love you, I know," like all of that kind of stuff. I totally get. But do cool moments and quotable lines make a good movie? Is that what we're saying? Is that what we're boiling this down to?
Well, yeah, isn't that what all movies kind of...
No!
If they're good. Like, there's good, cool moments and decent lines.
No.
I need to... sorry, I don't want to... I don't want to keep bringing this up because I actually do like it as a film. But how the hell can you prefer Phantom Menace to Empire? And how the hell can you have the criticism you've got of Empire and not apply that to Phantom Menace?
That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, pod race, exciting. Fight with Maul, exciting.
Yeah,
like,
okay, the fight with Vader is exciting. I get that, but aren't those two things cool moments?
No, they're not cool moments. There's more than moments. They're actual scenes and extended pieces and plot devices, as opposed to, you see the bounty hunters that get introduced on Vader's ship when they're having the meeting and that right, really cool that we get all of those people. They don't have spoken lines and we never see them again, other than Boba.
They're like whole icons that now Dave Filoni can go back and pull them in.
So it's a good movie so that Dave Filoni has content for the future. That's the only reason it's a good movie. Okay, you've convinced me.
We all went nuts when the IG-88 droid was in the Mandalorian. We're like, he's done it.
You've convinced me, mate. You've convinced me. Empire's now my favourite movie.
I don't know how you can think that it's not a good movie, though.
Like I said, I struggle with the pacing. I think that the action isn't actiony. I don't think it's exciting. It doesn't draw me in.
The one thing that I think it should have had, you know how like 80s movies have like the montage to like they put a cool upbeat song in, like when someone's cleaning the house, or like in Rocky, all the Rocky films you have there when he's training, and you know it's like weeks and months of training. They should have done that for the Luke and Yoda thing. Him like doing front flips with Yoda on his back. To,
Hey,
like,
we got
wishful thinking or something.
Hey, we got the bad lip reading Seagull Stop It Now song from that, so worth it just for that. I don't know, man. Like I do really struggle with this movie, and I really hope that in time I can appreciate it for the masterpiece that everybody else seems to think that it is.
Time it came out 42 years ago.
Yeah, in my time, in time.
Mate, I'm sorry, you shouldn't need like 20 years of watching Empire.
I do.
I'm sorry, I can't handle it.
I do.
We need to finish this. Right, we always give a score out of 10 for everything that we do Star Wars. So, Matt, put me out of my misery.
Yeah.
What are you scoring this out of 10?
6.
Oh, fucking hell. 6.
I'm giving it a 6.
Right. I'm giving this a 9, and it's only not a 10 because it's not Revenge of the Sith.
How can you put this almost on a par with Revenge? I just don't understand, man.
I think this film. I do think this film is the second best in the Star Wars. The pecking order.
Spoiler alert for all of those scores coming for our sequels reviews.
Yeah. The sequels reviews are going to go on for about 2 hours of just me ripping the films to shreds. I've been looking forward to this. No, I mean, for the reasons I said at the start, I just think Empire has got everything. I think the only thing that actually, if we're talking seriously, that doesn't make it a 10, and again, it's nothing to do with the fault of anybody, is that if there was improved technology, they could have done so much more with this film.
Which I think we have to take.
If we had prequel era technology, you could argue this for the whole of the OT.
And that's exactly what I was about to say. I think we could argue that for all of them.
Films will be taken up a pace. I think it's really great that you can tell that those films are older. Again, you have that nostalgia towards them. But if they had the technology, they would be probably my favourite trilogy.
Okay. Well, point made. I think I've drummed my point home about how I feel. So let us know in the comments down below. Are you team It's Tats or team the Norfolk Lion in regards to this movie? Where do you think it sits on the grand scale of Star Wars movies? Do you think is it your favourite? Is it your second favourite? Or do you think it's down in the depths?
No record and say that if we were doing a vote, I would win.
Well,
And then after I win, we would then put up the post, the meme, Palpatine saying how he loves democracy.
Okay, well, I tell you what, we will set up a Twitter poll. If you're not following us on Twitter, get over there. What are you doing? The Jedi In Exile over on Twitter. We'll set up a Twitter poll. We'll leave it running for a couple of weeks as to what people think about Empire, and we'll see. And if needs be, I'll eat my words, but I stand by it. It's a 6 from me. It is a 9 from Brian. Other than that, guys, if you've liked the content, please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment down below, engage with us. We like hearing from you guys, and we like to know that you guys are liking what we're putting out. And all that is left to say is we will see you all real soon in the next one.
Yeah, may the force be with you guys.